these guys have a chance to really be 18 years old and make 6 to 7 figures, if they're one of the top in their class. And so it's a lot of politics to come in that. Rankings matter more than they used to, in my opinion. The exposures matters more than they used to, in my opinion. Now with marketing, your following on social media matters. What your brand is, and so I think that obviously if you handle the first things first, which is you on the field or on the court, I think if you know that your position to be one of those top guys, I do think that it's wise to have representation kind of helping you guide your career. Because again, these things happen fast, and we're talking millions of dollars here, and so the more comfortable you can be in your path being one of success, I think the better.
Let's get into it. My co-host today is Rawleigh Williams III. He played football at the University of Arkansas. His stats say one thing, but trust me, after this episode, you're going to know a whole lot more about him. So without further ado, Rawleigh, I'm going to give you the keys.
Awesome. Thanks for having me. My name is Rawleigh Williams. Born and raised in Dallas, Texas. Former Arkansas Razorback. Was lucky enough to play there 2015 and 16. Unfortunately, 2 neck injuries, cut my career a little short, but I'm blessed to be able to have a successful life after football on the field. Spent the last 7.5 years as an NFL agent. Just transitioned to business manager for my same clients. Added some NBA guys, some retired guys, and joined as a partner at Ecos Group with some of the best people in the business. So I'm excited to get on with you and kind of talk shop.
Yeah, thank you for coming on. It's really great to have players of your caliber to kind of help out and boost the show a little bit, so that way our athletes get more visibility too. But I wanted to start off with kind of going into life, like if you want to go specifically more into life after football, like how did you use those connections that you made while being a football player to then get into the position you're in today?
Yeah, literally, I got to thank God for helping me to, have great parents who raised me the right way and always taught me the importance of carrying yourself, as a respectful human being. Everything that I've gotten to this point is through the grace of God and through me having a good name, in life. Literally from the moment I couldn't play football anymore to, having a conversation with Jerry Jones about working in their marketing department that summer, and then starting, as a college student working with the Dallas Cowboys, to interning with the athletic department's financial division, I guess you could say, at Arkansas, and then being a student assistant at the University of Arkansas for a season. And then a lot of the agents that were trying to recruit me as a player were like, listen, man, you should think about being an agent. You understand the game. A lot of your close friends are, top players in this sport. And just a bug in my head in the 2018 draft being in Dallas, which kind of sparked my interest to just come back home and be in the crowd to, literally finding who was my partner really for the last 7 years, to being 23 years old or 24 years old, starting a sports agency, literally not knowing what I didn't know, to building up a successful sports agency. It's been a lot of different steps that God has blessed me with, just carrying myself and listening to his voice and kind of directing my path.
And that's what I tell our athletes. It's like those connections you're making right now are going to really help you when you're done playing, because eventually you're going to be done playing. Everybody is. So I'm glad that you were able to leverage those, and you've leveraged those so successfully that you made it on the Forbes 30 under 30 list. Do you want to go ahead and talk about that, like how that came about and like what that means?
Yeah, no, listen, man, you're 100% right just about, the relationships that you build. I remember being, a senior in college and just doing my goal sheet. I'm really big in goals and affirmation statements. And, I saw the Forbes 30 under 30 list and really paid attention to it for the first time, probably 2018, 2019. And I put on there like, my 5-year goal, or, is I want to be on the Forbes 30 under 30 list. And so it was funny, the year that I ended up getting the award, I got an email from Forbes saying that I had been nominated by someone. And so I filled out all the paperwork kind of with my success at the time of Stars Milk and Honey Sports and some of the things I'd done on the contract side. And I remember on my mom's birthday, December 3rd, 2024, I get an email at like 5 in the morning, and I'm looking at it and I see it's from Forbes, and it's the best feeling in the world to see that dream come true in terms of your work being recognized. But literally it's been a journey from then to now, just to continue to raise the bar and then try to make a name for myself and my family in this business.
Yeah, I feel like you've had as much success off the field as you have had on the field, because I mean, running for 1,300 yards in the SEC isn't easy, but making it on the Forbes 30 under 30, it's like only 30 people do that a year.
Yeah.
But now let's talking about like from on the field, right? So, you know, you had an injury that made it to where you had to retire. You couldn't play anymore. It wasn't worth the risks. I've had a similar injury in my career as far as the military goes, where, you know, my knees to the point where, like, I can't do things anymore, and I had to continue. Like, I just changed career paths entirely. Now I'm having to transition out of the military, where I was like, hey, this is going to be my life.
Right.
So, you know, after I had that injury, you know, we have the VA. I got health care for life. Can you talk about what there was as far as, you know, you having injuries because you played football for a university? Was the university going to give you anything? Do you think NIL has helped to have that conversation where we can kind of do it? Because that's my biggest thing is, like, you're putting your body on the line for these universities to make this money. So I just want to see, like, what the comparison is.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably night and day different. You know, there was no NIL when I was here, and I'm sure that, you know, I was good enough to make a pretty penny if there was at the time. But at the same time, you know, I dealt with the resources I had, you know, and I was able to kind of jumpstart my career. Just hit the ground running while I was still in college. So the $1,400 or whatever it was a month that I got at the time felt like a lot, you know what I mean? And so I was just able to kind of, you know, use it to travel and go to New York to meet with a potential partner and do things of that nature. But yeah, man, it was a whirlwind to, you know, kind of be in a situation where I'd always been under the impression, my parents taught me, you know, the importance of education. I was already on the path to get my finance degree in 3 years, but it was all, I'm going to go to the NFL, I'm going to have a successful career, I'm going to make millions of dollars, and I'll figure out everything else kind of after the fact. But at the same time, you know, just because of, again, how I was raised, it was always, let's take care of what's important to, which is your education and which is networking and which is, you know, just knowing what you're interested in outside of football. So at the time, I remember Billions was a big show. And I was like, yo, I want to run a hedge fund one day. So really got heavy on the stock market. A lot of my friends were, you know, obviously getting their finance degree as well. And so I thought that was going to be my path. But again, you know, I kind of listened to, you know, the things I felt like God was telling me and, you know, took the journey this way. But I think in today's world, man, you have a chance to really, you know, do right by yourself before you get to the NFL or the NBA. And if you do right, man, and the NFL or NBA doesn't happen, if you save your money, you can buy a house in cash, you know, after college. And so I think that the mindset for some of these kids and their families should be one where we need to be as financially literate as possible so that whenever football or basketball does end, I'm prepared for that next step.
For sure. And do you think, like, as far as, like, injuries go, do you think there should be some kind of, like, pension thing for college if you get hurt and you're no longer able to play anymore, at least for, like, a higher level athletes?
Yeah, so like obviously, you know, everybody has a choice of getting the insurance policy, you know, when you are that higher caliber player. But I think, listen, I do think that there should be some sort of official union for college athletes, you know, and especially as you hear all these things in politics right now of, you know, save college sports. I think there should be someone or a group that has the voice or the opinion of the athlete at heart. And I think that we're probably closer than we are far apart from that happening.
Yeah, and we're going to transition to, like, the NIL discussion, but it's more so just overall things in college sports right now. And as far as, like, I guess to continue that, like, did you have, like, any mental health issues, like, after that? Like, did you have, like, a part where it's, like, you're really in a bad place? Because, like, I went through, like, last year was, like, one of the worst years of my life because I was, like, if I had to have another knee surgery, which was my third one, I have cartilage or meniscus anymore. Like, it's just a very bad place to be. Like, and I feel like most athletes, like, you know, hearing that and, like, how you got through it could help them because I know there's a lot of them going through injuries right now and recovering.
Yeah, honestly, man, it could have been much worse. And it's only because things just moved so fast for me after football was over. You know, I remember literally sitting in the Starbucks parking lot when I kind of made the announcement that I was, you know, leaving the game and the letter had been posted. And it was like that week, it's, hey, you're going to go, you have the opportunity to go work with the Cowboys, you know, this summer. Do you want to do it? And so I just never really had time to really sit and feel sorry for myself. And I had a great support system, you know, that kind of kept me up. But at the same time, like, you know, I did, because we have the resources at the athletic facility, I did go talk to a therapist for probably a month or two just to kind of see and make sure that I was good. But, you know, I kept moving forward and really didn't have time to sit and feel sorry.
Right. I mean, like, I think the biggest thing is the support system and, you know, at least going to a therapist. That's what got me through mine.
Yeah.
But as far as like agents in college sports, right? You were an agent. Like, have you represented anybody at the college level? And then can you kind of go through what in your opinion, when a college athlete should have an agent and what they should be using an agent for?
Yeah, I mean, we have a really good amount of football and basketball clients right now on the NIL side. I'm at Ecos. Actually, Tay Lockett, who's at the University of Arkansas, is one of our guys. So, yeah, I mean, we're definitely heavily involved in that space. And, you know, that's a good question you asked about when should somebody have it. I think it's getting younger and younger, to be honest with you. And I don't know if it's necessarily that they should have it younger, but that's where the business is going. You know, again, when I was talking earlier, these guys have a chance to really be 18 years old and make 6 to 7 figures, you know, if they're one of the top in their class. And so it's a lot of politics to come in that. You know, rankings matter more than they used to, in my opinion. The exposures matters more than they used to, in my opinion. Now with marketing, your following on social media matters. You know, what your brand is. And so I think that, you know, obviously if you handle the first things first, which is you on the field or on the court, you know, I think if you know that you're positioned to be one of those top guys, I do think that it's wise to have representation kind of helping you guide your career. You know, because again, these things happen fast and we're talking millions of dollars here. And so the more comfortable you can be in your path being one of success, I think the better.
Right. Which my thing is being in this space, I've seen athletes that I don't think they were ready to have an agent yet.
Sure.
Have an agent. And it's like
Sure.
they might be getting a small percentage and all their agent's doing is just looking over the rev share contract and really they're just telling them to sign it and taking 5%, which you could pay an attorney to do that. So like that's kind of where I was getting at. Like I think agents are great, but it's like I think you got to be in a position where they really can do something for you.
Yeah, I also think that that's in any career. You know what I mean? There are people who are really good at what they do, and there are people who get taken advantage of. I think there are attorneys that take advantage of people. I think there are, you know, law enforcement. I think there are doctors. You know, I think it's also on, you know, the person and the family to have discernment on what the best decision is, you know, and to ask the right questions. And again, with that, you're always going to have some non-success stories. But at the same time, you know, I think that it's one where I just saw on First Take this morning, you know, Jerry Jones was talking about, you know, if Doris Pickens, you know, does this conversation with me without an agent, you know, he'd save himself millions of dollars. And it's like, yeah, but he's 25 years old, you know what I mean? And you've been negotiating contracts since before he's been alive. So how wise is it really to have that conversation with him? You know what I mean? And on the flip side, with these college athletes, I was under the impression, right, when I was getting recruited, I'm trying to impress this coach to give me an opportunity. You know what I mean? And so it's about me being on my best behavior. It's about me carrying myself the right way so that this coach can give me a scholarship and we can be good. Now those same coaches who look at it like, man, I got your best interest, they're also trying to save dollars and cents so they can use it at a different position or so that they can add your replacement at that same position. You know what I mean? And so it is more so who's going to be my voice for me. And some people may have the ability to do it on their own, but not everybody does. And I do see some kids getting taken advantage of by somebody they looked at like they care for me, but they care about their family and their job a little more. You know what I mean? And so I do think that it's wise to have representation. And now, listen, you can negotiate what you need to in terms of what you pay that person, but I do think it's wise to consider it if you're talking real money. And by real money, I mean, you know, 6 or 7 figures.
For sure. And I would say that my advice to athletes would just be go and get as informed as possible. Like if you don't know what rev share is or NIL is or how to really do the stuff first, like you need to go learn that so that way someone doesn't take advantage of you with it.
For sure.
But I think one of the hot take questions I had, and we can just bring it up now, but it's like, do you think that the universities, like as far as NIL is perceived in the media and the news and like all the hot button issues, like do you think the universities are playing the victim card more than that they're just a part of this role?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I don't think that's even a hot question. That's without a doubt they're playing the victim card. You know, and everything I see here, it's about how just a mess this is for everybody but the athlete. You know what I mean? Like at the end of the day, these guys are played for free while their coaches and their schools made millions of dollars based on their success for decades and decades and decades. And so now that's not the case anymore. And is it perfect? No. But just because it's not perfect doesn't mean that it's something that we need to change or take away. We can refine it as we will continue to, the same way that we try to refine the playoff system, the same way that we try to refine coaches' contracts. You know, these coaches are getting paid $10, $15 million a year now, you know what I mean, based on, again, the success of a young man or a young woman in that sport. And so with that, man, like, listen, I think that it needs to be a real conversation about what's important here and who's really the victim, you know, and instead of looking at yourself like a victim, like it's just let's try to find a solution here that makes sense for both sides. But both sides need an equal opportunity to defend themselves.
Yeah, like my point to that would be, Lane Kiffin isn't told that he can only transfer to a different school to coach one or two times. Like, he's hopped around like a hot potato. And then as far as like the school, it's like, well, if the school tells an athlete like, hey, we're not going to have you on the team next year, we don't have the funds for you, and now they got to go somewhere. Or if you really care about the education perspective, and it's like you're going out to get a master's degree, but the school you're at doesn't have a master's program, I think there's just a lot of stuff that the universities are just, oh, boo-hoo, and it's like, no, this is like the best interest of the player to have these rules.
Agreed. And again, it's not saying that it's a perfect system now. Like we were talking about earlier, if I had the opportunity to transfer every single year and chose to take that opportunity, a lot of these relationships I have now from the University of Arkansas wouldn't be there. You know what I mean? And if I went to 3 schools in 3 years, I may not have any home base, to really kind of help me with my foundation. So I get that there's a side or a piece of the truth in their complaint. But also, like, I'd rather just fix the solution than say, oh, these guys don't deserve the opportunity to choose what they're doing.
Yeah. My last comment on that would just be like when they had that summit that Trump had, which was just a huge spectacle, you didn't see any athletes or current athletes there.
Exactly.
And it's like you can't have that conversation without the athlete, because I see it as it's an individual's right to make money off their name, image, and likeness, and they just so happen to be in college. But I know you said before we started that you had some questions that you wanted to ask, so as the co-host, I'm going to give you that time now if you wanted to do.
No, I appreciate it. I mean, obviously, I'm a big Razorback fan. I'm a Razorback for life. I root for the success of that university. And so with that, I kind of keep my ear to everything, or as much as I can, about what's going on. And so I really just want to kind of hear more about Choose Arkansas. And I know that it's kind of started as something and it's grown. And I know that you have, your hands involved in more than just one university. But just kind of want to hear, how that started and where we're at today with it.
Yeah, so, it originally started as just trying to be like a collective for the University of Arkansas. And then I was able to meet my business partner, who's David Smith. And, we together formed like a board of people with, those, like that group to have like an advisory role of like they have experience in different fields. And now, we're trying to push it more as like a marketing media side, right, where we can kind of act as an agent, but like if they have representation, that's great, we'll work with them, but like it's for those players that really aren't at that like position yet. And so we're partnered with Out to Win to have analytics behind them to kind of just help them grow their social media and get to that point where they can facilitate more deals, earn more money, have a show like this where they can come on and talk, and then people see them as a person and grow their personal brand. So we're kind of working on all those pillars right now to be able to really support the athlete as far as if they want to partner with someone with merchandising, we'll make that partnership and help them get there, getting them like national deals, but also working with like from a business perspective, regional brands to help facilitate deals like in the state of Arkansas to help Arkansas's economy. So very much a player focused, and really we might be working with all these schools, but at the end of the day we have the player at the front of our conversations.
No, I love that, honestly. So tell me this. So you guys work with athletes who also have agents?
Correct.
So how does that kind of work without, I guess, somebody stepping on the other person's toes?
Well, I mean, if you're like you being an agent, right? Like if I'm going and getting your client deals, like are you gonna be mad about that? Your client's getting more traction. So like that's how we work. Like I'm not trying to take them away from you. Like at the end of the day, I tell the athletes my thoughts on it, and if they want to go sign with an agent, that's on them. Like I'm going to work with it, but sometimes I will say agents play a little bit harder or want more money, and like we're just not at that position, because I just look at us as like, yeah, we don't pay the most out there, but this is money you didn't have before, and the deliverables are like a post or maybe a 30-minute to 2-hour event where you're signing autographs and get in front of fans.
Right.
So that's kind of how I view it.
Oh, listen, I love it. Like I would like to talk, offline about just different ways that we could even partner and possibly work together. Just with resources and different, thoughts on where this thing is going. But again, like I've seen it, really from right when it started to now, and it seems like there's been a lot of traction. I saw Darren McFadden's gotten involved. So again, would love to help personally, however I can.
Right, which we have the memberships, but really I think the media's we're going to make our most revenue, but the memberships kind of help us to facilitate more deals. Darren's great for that, right? You put him on a hat. You put him on like a little. I got some stickers over here. We got the bumper stickers.
I need one of those too.
For sure. So your time's valuable. So I'm just going to go ahead and get into our little game segment so we can get you out of here and you can go back to work. But going back to hot takes, So this is where, in the future we'll have a sponsor to sponsor Hot Takes. So if you want to sponsor this Hot Takes, we'll get with you.
Yep.
So Jerry. I love Jerry. I'm a Cowboys fan. You're from Dallas, right? So do you think it's time that, it's Jerry's got to, step down or appoint somebody else?
That's a tough one. Listen, that's a coded answer. So obviously he's changed the game from a business standpoint for the better, hands down. I mean, NFL, football, everything we think about what the upside of football is, he's had a big hand in it. At the same time, I'm 29 years old. I was born in 1996 in August. So since I've been alive, I haven't seen much Cowboy success. At the same time, they're still the biggest brand in all of sports. But listen, man, that's a family business. So even him stepping down, it's still yours. You know what I mean? I just think that it's always time as people get older to say, this is what I molded you for, son and daughter. Do your thing. So I definitely feel that that's getting close.
Yeah. I also watched Succession on HBO, so I know how that can be with handing things down. So I might just be hiring somebody, but we'll see, because I'm a Cowboys fan too. I'm 25, and I ain't ever seen a Super Bowl,
It's not leaving that family.
Yeah. Okay, so the next hot take, which we did the school one, but will Arkansas make a bowl game next year? Do you think that the Ryan Silverfield's, just your professional opinion, what you know about the game, what you know about sports, what do you think that's going?
I actually have us going to a bowl game this year. Can't lie.
Okay.
I say I'm gonna go ahead. No, I'm not gonna give a record, but I think we're gonna go to a bowl game.
See,
I actually do.
I get closer to these players, and I want to believe it, but also at the same time, I'm a homer, so it's am I drinking the Kool-Aid again, and I got to really do a check.
You don't have a choice, bro. It's a miserable life if you don't drink the Kool-Aid, so you got to put a little sugar in there and then keep it going.
So, I hope you're right. Okay, now Factor Cap. Oh, okay, actually, I read the wrong ones for the hot takes and Factor Cap, so we're just doing hot takes today. Okay. So another hot take is, what programs are better set up right now in the SEC overall compared to Arkansas?
Yo, man, most of them. And
okay.
now, and we're talking about football or just the programs in general?
Well, we can start football because that's probably where you're. You got basketball players too.
I guess I can also say I can't say yet. Just because I haven't seen the fruits of the labor of this portal class. Obviously, they're saying that we have all these resources now. I'm hoping it to be the case. I see the Tyson situation. So on paper, we're supposed to have as many resources as anybody in the SEC. It hasn't shown itself to be true yet, but we have the ability to do that in the state of Arkansas. So we'll see. You see the programs that are winning, and now you can tell that the programs that win are usually the programs that invest into their program the most. So because of that, listen, if we have the resources, we should see it on the field soon.
Right. And I think it's going to be a pretty true statement, because I currently live in Nashville, so I talk to a lot of Vandy people and just seen what they're doing. And allegedly, they're only working with the cap. So at just the 20.5, but they're spinning it the right way. So it's did we get better at spinning it using, statistics and stuff? So I'm really hoping to see it.
Everybody's working within the cap, sure.
Okay, that you pretty much answered the other one. If you think Arkansas could be a successful program, of course you do. I think that's pretty much all the hot take questions, because you answered that too, because I was going to ask you what you thought about Choose Arkansas and how we were kind of running this model. I guess I can, what do you think of fan-run initiatives? Do you think they're a +1 to schools? Do you think schools should embrace them, or is it kind of just something that should phase out?
Schools should definitely embrace them. You can't do this without fans, and fans run businesses, and fans, invest in things that they're fans of, whether it's ticket sales, whether it's, just talking positively in the barbershop and getting somebody else to become a fan. So I'm all for every fan being a part of some sort of initiative, and it's not always with cash. It's just about goodwill, That's what I was saying earlier about drink the Kool-Aid. The state is better when people are drinking the Kool-Aid. People want to go eat and talk about it. People want to go bowl with their friends. People want to go, to the car wash, and you want to move around and feel that energy. So I'm all for it.
Yeah, because I think with private equity and what we're kind of seeing is the schools are now focused on the people that could give $50,000 a year to get the premium seating, and the people in the nosebleeds are just left out, and it gets more and more expensive for them. So one of our goals is just to have a way that those people, because I grew up poor, I'm still kind of poor. I was a Pell Grant in college, right? I didn't have a pot to piss in, half the time, and it's I would love nothing more than to meet a Razorback, right? I was in high school and you were running, And that was huge for me. So it's like just to
Right.
try to get that connection to those fans, I think is pretty crucial. But
Agreed.
to end the show here, we'll do a rapid fire. It's just the first thing that pops in your head to answer the question. But rapid fire, hardest place to play that you played at?
Alabama.
Okay. Favorite moment as a Hog?
Ole Miss win.
Okay. Your favorite teammate?
Oh, damn. Byron Keaton.
Okay. Your Super Bowl pick for this year?
Los Angeles Rams.
Okay. Cam Curl, I got you. Okay, and then this one just got added today because I seen a post on it. But I'll post the picture whenever this video airs. But there's been a photo of Arkansas going to a red field. What is your opinion? It's kind of like Boise State, but instead of the blue, it's red.
Yeah, my opinion is it's April Fool's because I'm not for the red. We need
You're not
all
for the
the
red?
normalcy we can see.
Okay, hey, Ryan Silverfield era, he could want to switch it up and try to.
That's wild.
Okay, no. All right.
No.
So for the viewers out there, where can they find you? And then if they want to keep track of you and all that.
Yeah, at the third Rawleigh on basically everything on Instagram, X, Facebook is my name, LinkedIn. So I'm usually a responder. So definitely reach out and show love, and I'll do the same.
All right, thank you, Rawleigh.
Thank you. Appreciate you, man.
Bro.